I'm sorry, sir, but due to an equipment change, we've had to reassign some seats. Your new boarding pass is for 32B, middle seat, economy, the gate agent said, her voice a practiced blend of feigned apology and unyielding corporate script. Colonel Thomas Tom Callahan, 85, a Medal of Honor recipient, looked down at the flimsy new pass, then back at his original first-class ticket. There must be a mistake, he said quietly. This ticket was confirmed months ago. The agent just shrugged. Aircraft changes happen. 32B is your assigned seat. 8 minutes later, as Tom sat dejectedly near the crowded gate, a flurry of activity erupted. The airline's president, looking pale and harried, personally rushed to gate C12. If you believe true honor deserves more than a middle seat, type respect below. Colonel Thomas Tom Callahan, Red carried his 85 years with a quiet dignity that often made him invisible in crowded airports. His slightly stooped shoulders hinted at old burdens, but his eyes, though faded, still held a spark of the keen intelligence and unwavering resolve that had defined his distinguished military career. He wasn't one for ostentation. His travel attire was simple: comfortable slacks, a neatly pressed collared shirt, and a well-worn but clean sports coat. Tucked discreetly in his wallet, almost forgotten, was a copy of the citation that accompanied the Medal of Honor he'd received for extraordinary valor above and beyond the call of duty during a fierce firefight in Vietnam, where he'd repeatedly exposed himself to enemy fire to rescue wounded comrades and rally his besieged unit. He rarely spoke of it, considering it a testament not to his own courage, but to the bravery of the men he'd served with. Today, Tom was traveling to Washington, D.C. He'd been invited to a special commemorative event at the White House honoring Medal of Honor recipients. His granddaughter, Sarah, a young Army captain herself, had used her saved-up frequent flyer miles and a significant portion of her own savings to book him a first-class ticket on Transglobal Airlines. She wanted her grandfather, who rarely indulged himself and suffered from chronic back pain from old injuries, to travel in comfort and arrive rested for the prestigious event. The ticket had been confirmed months in advance, Seat 2A, a spacious window seat. He'd been looking forward to the quiet journey, a rare chance to relax. He arrived at the bustling airport with ample time, navigated security smoothly, and made his way to Gate C12. The gate area was already crowded, the usual organized chaos of modern air travel. He approached the podium where two gate agents, Brenda and Mark, were managing the boarding process for Flight 714 to Dulles. Brenda, the senior agent, looked stressed, her smile tight as she dealt with a passenger arguing about carry-on luggage. Mark, younger and seemingly less flustered, was scanning boarding passes. Tom waited patiently in the priority boarding line, his original first-class ticket and boarding pass in hand. When his turn came, he presented them to Brenda. She scanned his boarding pass, frowned at her screen, then typed furiously. Just a moment, Colonel Callahan, she said, her professional smile wavering. She conferred quietly with Mark, who also looked at the screen with a puzzled expression. After a few more taps, Brenda printed out a new flimsy boarding pass. Colonel Callahan, she began, her voice taking on that carefully neutral tone that usually preceded bad news. I'm sorry, but there's been an aircraft change for this flight. The original aircraft had a mechanical issue, and the replacement plane has a different seating configuration, with fewer first-class seats. Tom felt a familiar sinking feeling. So, what does that mean for my confirmed first-class seat, 2A? Brenda avoided his gaze, focusing on the new pass. Unfortunately, sir, due to the reduced first-class cabin and the need to accommodate our Diamond Elite status passengers who were also affected, we've had to reassign your seat. Your new assignment is 32B. She handed him the new pass. Tom looked at it. 32B. A middle seat, in the very back of economy, from a spacious first-class window to a cramped economy middle. A middle seat in economy? He asked, his voice quiet, but laced with disbelief. After I had a confirmed first-class ticket for months, I'm traveling to a White House event for Medal of Honor recipients. My granddaughter used considerable resources to ensure I could travel comfortably due to my age and service-related back issues. Brenda's expression hardened slightly, shifting from feigned sympathy to defensive recitation of policy. "Sir, I understand your frustration, but aircraft changes are sometimes unavoidable for operational reasons. Our contract of carriage states that seat assignments are not guaranteed. We prioritize reseating based on fare class paid and frequent flyer status. While your original ticket was first class, it appears to have been booked using partner miles, which places it lower in the priority queue than our revenue-paying Diamond Elite members during involuntary reseating." Mark, the other agent, looked uncomfortable, shifting his weight. He opened his mouth as if to say something, then seemed to think better of it under Brenda's stern glance. "So, my confirmed ticket, my reason for travel, my age, my service." Tom paused, then added very quietly, "My Medal of Honor status, which is noted in my booking as per TSA pre-check protocols. None of that matters?" Brenda blinked, a flicker of something. Surprise? Disdain? Crossing her face. "Medal of Honor?" She glanced at her screen again, then back at him, her tone now slightly condescending. "Sir, many people have commendable service records. Our system prioritizes based on paid fare and loyalty status. 32B is the best available seat we can offer you under the circumstances. You can request a partial refund for the fare difference after your flight, of course, by contacting customer service." There was no apology in her voice, no attempt to find a better solution, just a flat bureaucratic dismissal. Tom knew arguing would be pointless. He'd seen this kind of unyielding adherence to flawed policy before, in far more critical situations. The casual disregard for his circumstances, for the honor he represented, stung more than the prospect of an uncomfortable flight. "I see," he said, his voice barely a whisper. He took the flimsy economy boarding pass, the symbol of his downgrade, and stepped away from the podium, finding an empty seat in the crowded gate area. He felt a profound weariness. It wasn't about the luxury of first class. It was about the respect, the acknowledgement, the simple decency that seemed to be so easily discarded by a computer algorithm and an indifferent gate agent. He sat, watching other passengers board, the now boarding first class announcement feeling like a cruel irony. As Tom sat there, a quiet anger simmering beneath his weary resignation, he remembered something his granddaughter Sarah had told him when she booked the ticket. "Grandpa," she'd said, "TransGlobal has a special Heroes Liaison desk for situations like this, for active military and distinguished veterans. If there's any problem, you call this number directly. It bypasses the regular customer service." She'd written the number on a small card and tucked it into his travel wallet. He'd dismissed it at the time, not expecting to need it. Now, with a sigh, he pulled out his wallet and found the card. It was a long shot. These special numbers were often just another layer of bureaucracy, but he had nothing to lose. He dialed. The phone was answered on the second ring, not by an automated system, but by a calm, professional human voice. "TransGlobal Airlines Heroes Liaison, this is David. How may I assist you?" Tom briefly explained his situation. Colonel Thomas Callahan, Medal of Honor recipient, confirmed first-class seat 2A on Flight 714 to Dulles for a White House event, involuntarily downgraded at the gate to 32B Economy Middle due to an equipment change. Gate agent unresponsive to circumstances. He kept his voice calm, factual, avoiding emotion. David, on the other end, listened intently, typing rapidly. "Colonel Callahan, please confirm your booking reference and current gate number." Tom provided the information. "One moment, Colonel." The line was quiet for perhaps 30 seconds, filled only with the distant sound of keyboard clicks. Then David returned. "Colonel, I see the situation. Please accept my sincerest apologies on behalf of TransGlobal Airlines. This is unacceptable. The equipment change was genuine, but the handling of your reseating was not in accordance with our dedicated protocols for distinguished service members, especially those traveling to official honorific events. Please remain at Gate C12. This is being escalated to the highest levels immediately. Someone will be with you very, very shortly." The line disconnected. Tom wasn't sure what to expect. Highest levels? Very shortly? It sounded like corporate platitudes. He leaned his head back and closed his eyes, the noise of the gate area fading into a dull roar. 5 minutes passed, then 6. Boarding for economy class was now well underway. 7 minutes, precisely 8 minutes after Tom ended his call with the hero's liaison, the relative calm of Gate C-12 was shattered. Not by an announcement, but by the sudden urgent arrival of a small entourage moving at near sprint speed through the crowded terminal. Leading the group, his face pale and beaded with sweat despite the air conditioning, was Mr. Edward Sterling, the president and CEO of Transglobal Airlines himself. Flanking him were 2 senior vice presidents, one for operations, the other for customer experience, and his executive assistant, who was frantically speaking into a headset. They bypassed the boarding line, making a beeline directly for the gate podium, their expressions a mixture of panic and extreme urgency. Gate agents. Brenda and Mark stared, dumbfounded, as the highest echelons of their company descended upon them unannounced. Passengers in line paused, sensing drama. Mr. Sterling reached the podium, his chest heaving slightly. He didn't even glance at Brenda or Mark. His eyes scanned the gate area with frantic intensity. "Where is he?" Sterling demanded, his voice tight with anxiety. "Where is Colonel Thomas Callahan?" Brenda, completely flustered, pointed a trembling finger towards where Tom was still sitting, eyes closed. "There, sir, by the window." Sterling, followed by his retinue, practically ran over to Tom. He stopped, composing himself with visible effort, then leaned down slightly. "Colonel Callahan, sir? My name is Edward Sterling. I am the president of Transglobal Airlines." Tom opened his eyes, looking up at the flustered, important-looking man before him. "Mr. Sterling," he acknowledged quietly. "Sir, on behalf of the entire Transglobal family," Sterling began, his voice earnest, almost pleading, "please accept my most profound and humble apologies for the utterly inexcusable treatment you have received today. There are no words to adequately express our regret for this failure." He gestured vaguely back towards the podium. The mishandling of your seating due to the aircraft change was a catastrophic breakdown of our protocols, our values, and frankly, common decency. It should never have happened." Brenda and Mark, the gate agents, watched from the podium, their faces ashen. They had never seen Mr. Sterling at a gate, let alone looking so agitated. The VPs of operations and customer experience were already in deep, hushed, and clearly furious conversation with the station manager who had just rushed up. "Colonel Callahan," Mr. Sterling continued, his voice regaining some composure but still thick with urgency, "we became aware of this situation only moments ago. The agent at our hero's liaison desk immediately escalated it. Please understand, this is not how Transglobal honors its veterans, especially not a recipient of the Medal of Honor." He paused, then made a decisive gesture. "Flight 714 will be held at the gate. We are currently arranging for you to be reaccommodated in the first-class cabin. If that means bumping one of our own executives, or myself, so be it. You will travel to Washington in the comfort and with the respect you are due." He then added, "And of course, your entire trip and any future travel you or your granddaughter undertake with Transglobal will be complimentary, at the highest service level, for life. It's the absolute least we can do." Tom listened patiently, then gave a small, weary nod. "Mr. Sterling, I appreciate your personal attention. It wasn't about the seat, not really. It was about the principle, Colonel, the respect," Sterling finished for him, nodding vigorously. "I understand completely, and that is where we failed you catastrophically today." He turned to his VPs. "Ensure the first-class cabin is reconfigured immediately. Find Colonel Callahan the best possible seat. Personally escort him aboard." He then looked back at Gate Agent Brenda, his eyes like chips of ice. "Ms. Agent," he said, his voice dropping to a dangerously low level, "you and I will be having a discussion about policy interpretation, customer service, and the meaning of hero's liaison in my office as soon as this aircraft is airborne, as will your direct supervisor." Brenda looked as if she might faint. Mark, beside her, looked utterly miserable. The airline president then turned back to Tom. his expression softening again. "Colonel, is there anything at all I can do for you right now? Coffee? Anything?" Tom managed a faint smile. "Just getting to Washington in time for the ceremony would be appreciated, Mr. Sterling." "You will be there, sir," Sterling vowed, "with honors." And so, Colonel Thomas Callahan, Medal of Honor recipient, was personally escorted onto Flight 714 by the president of the airline, placed in Seat 1A. Another passenger willingly, and perhaps wisely, volunteered their seat, and treated with the utmost deference for the remainder of his journey. The incident at Gate C-12 became the stuff of legend within Transglobal Airlines. The Callahan Protocol was swiftly implemented, mandating immediate, highest-level escalation for any service issue involving Medal of Honor recipients or similarly distinguished veterans. Gate agents Brenda and her supervisor underwent intensive retraining focused on customer empathy and special assistance protocols. Brenda was later moved to a non-customer-facing role. Mark, the younger agent who had looked uncomfortable, was commended for later reporting his concerns about Brenda's handling of the situation. Word of the airline president personally intervening at a gate after a Medal of Honor recipient was mistreated rippled through veterans' networks and social media, paradoxically earning Transglobal some grudging respect for the speed and totality of its corrective action, even as it was criticized for the initial failure. Tom Callahan attended the White House ceremony, arriving rested and with his dignity intact. He never mentioned the airport incident to his granddaughter, not wanting to mar the spirit of her generous gift. But Sarah heard whispers through her own military channels and called him, concerned. "Grandpa, are you okay? I heard there was some trouble with your flight." Tom chuckled softly. "Just a little turbulence at the gate, sweetheart. Nothing a few good people couldn't smooth out." He knew that sometimes, even in systems designed to be impersonal, individual honor and swift intervention could still make a world of difference, and that even the highest flying corporations could be brought swiftly down to earth by the quiet dignity of a hero and a single well-placed phone call. Because true respect isn't about loyalty points or fare class, it's about recognizing the immeasurable value of those who have given more than most could ever comprehend. Subscribe to my channel if you believe heroes deserve to fly first class always, and that accountability should land swiftly.